Good day, everyone, and welcome to the system webinar session on this Wednesday. It's great to see you, and we're happy that you can join us for the next hour. Today's session will all be about the practical application of the team functionality in the Shadowmatch system. We have had two previous sessions where we spoke about the psychology of teams, and that was on the 4th of May. And on the 11th of May, Peter also had a session about the onboarding, team onboarding, when a new person joins a team. So 4th of May, 11th of May, you can find both those recordings on the Shadowmatch calendar. For those of you that don't know, you can go to shadowmatch.co.za or alternatively shadowmatch.com. And on both of those websites, you can find the Events 2022 tab, and that's where you will find the Shadowmatch calendar. All the recordings of the previous webinars are on that calendar, as well as the links for upcoming webinars you can find on the calendar. The only recordings that you won't find will be the recordings of the coaching sessions. Those are exclusively for coaches that are part of the Shadowmatch coaching platform. If you are interested in joining those sessions, you can join as a coach, and that you can do on the shadowmatchcoaching.com website. If you need any more information about any of these, you're welcome to send us an email as well to info@shadowmatch.com or info@shadowmatch.co.za. My name is Lizette de Villiers. For those of you that are joining for the first time, I will be the host this afternoon. I will shortly hand the microphone to Peter de Villiers, who's the presenter. He's the author and functional developer of the Shadowmatch system, and also still holds the role as head of research and development at Shadowmatch. You have noticed that we are recording the session. This is for the purpose of our resources library. The session and the recording of the session will be placed on the calendar after the session today, and it will also become part of our YouTube channel. You're welcome to visit our YouTube channel. There are lots of webinars available, not just the ones that we did this year, but a lot of webinars that we did in the past as well on career and on parenting, and very valuable resources that you will find on the YouTube channel. I think lastly, from my side, you are welcome to make use of the chat. If you do have any question during the course of the presentation, towards the end of the discussion, I will enable the setting for you to unmute your microphone, and then you will be welcome to ask your questions live. I think from my side, that's all. Thank you very much, Peter. Over to you.
Thank you, Lizette, and welcome everybody to this system training on Teams. As Lizette rightly said, Shadowmatch has got many functionalities, and this session and the ones that she referred to that was presented on 4 May and 11 May was about the psychology of teams, but I will touch on that as well. Just for those who would like a quick overview again, Shadowmatch primarily does 4 things. It does optimal recruitment and placement of people so that the jobs that we offer people and the jobs we place people in are in line with their habits. The second thing is it does development, personal development programs for specific development of habits. The third thing is it does team analysis, team building, and helping teams to better understand their focus and their roles. And number 4, it's got a wellness leg with the coaching and all those other areas, all based on habits. And that brings me to the first point. In the world of psychology, we work with a lot of theories and a lot of ideas and a lot of philosophies. A lot of the things that we hold on, like Maslow, the theory of Maslow, the hierarchy of needs, we accept that as this is fact. It's never been proved scientifically. We accept the hierarchy of needs by Maslow because it just makes so much sense, and we don't argue the point. So that's a very strong position to take. If you have a psychological position or an idea about the psychology of people, that nobody can challenge it. It just says, you just say, well, it's this. I know that this is true, but some of the things are a bit fluffy and a bit thin and a bit. It's an idea, it's a theory. If we look at the science behind it, we say, I'm not so convinced about this. I like to work with the things that we cannot argue against. 1, Shadowmatch works with habits. What is a habit? all our behaviors, all of them tend to form patterns. Once the pattern has been formed, that pattern becomes something that we do and we repeat, and we don't even need to think or to plan in doing it. Nobody challenges that statement. Everybody is in agreement that the brain works with patterns, and it works according to historic lines of repetition and the formation of habits. We even have a saying, we are creatures of habit. When it comes to teams, there is one principle that I work with, and this is the underlying baseline principle based on habits. But there's a second one. I will show it to you. And if you want this slide, please ask for it, and we are more than willing to send it to you, to share it with you. If you want to make a screen print of it, do it now. The principle about teams and people working together in teams is extremely easy to understand. This is what it is about. Behavioral similarities and shared interests create cohesion amongst people and collaboration. Fact. I want to give you an example. Let's say I have an interest in Harley Davidson motorbikes, and every weekend I go on a drive out somewhere to a dam. I don't do it, but let's say for the purpose of the example, that's what I do. I get to the coffee shop somewhere at a dam, and there's another Harley Davidson park next to mine. I immediately feel that this person is a buddy, is a friend. We do the same things, we have the same machines, we are at the same place. I stop and I say to him, how are you? How long have you had this? Blah, 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 blah. People bond, and there is cohesive bonding amongst people when their behavioral patterns are similar and when they have shared interests. Now, when we have the opposite, behavioral diversity and diverse interests creates separation amongst people, sometimes even animosity. It can even become hostility. Let me give you an example. As a group, we work together in a team, and we go after the hard working team session to a restaurant, and we order some hamburgers. One of the team members receives his hamburger, but the hamburger is not the way he wanted it. He started shouting and screaming, threw his toys, made a scene of it. It became a fight, and everybody looked down to their plates and said, I don't need this. What happens? His team buddies rejected his behavior when they saw what he did when he received a dish, a plate, a hamburger that he didn't order or that he didn't like. And they did not approve his behavior. Rejection starts. The group starts to say, we don't like this. This is not what we do. We don't approve this. So what happens is it could even become a hostile situation towards that person that is part of the team. So this is the core principle that we work with when we have a look at the shadow match team analysis, and obviously it becomes a very rich environment of information. But behavioral similarities and shared interests create cohesion amongst people and collaboration. Behavioral diversity and diverse interests create separation, animosity, and sometimes even hostility. Let's have a look at an example. I'm in a business. This business is just a setup. The names in that we will use does not exist. It's just names that we grabbed out of the air. And I am now going to create a team so that I show you how the system works. I'm going to go to this list of 48 individuals. I select 1, to random. This is a random selection that I do. These people must work on a project, or they must work together on something that with a specific outcome. I select them. Let me select another 1, 2. I have now selected 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's enough. And now with these selected individuals, here they are in a basket. I have now selected them because I want to do something with them. What do I want to do? I want to create a team. I look at my list. I create a team with them. I'm going to give the team a name. I call this team training. In team training, then we have these create a team. Now create a team. Right there, team training, and I then create a team. Good. So let me create the team. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to unmark these individuals so that they are out of my basket of selected individuals. Okay, let's have a look. Now, the first thing I just want to, if you click on this little arrow at the bottom, you get a full screen. If you click at that one in the corner there, you get a full screen like that. And now we have a fancy setup of the team. What we can see, what we see now is the first thing that I normally tell the team, and before the team session and the team building session, I would ask everybody to please read their full reports. And in our next parenting webinar, I will explain to parents why people do not read. Now, we experience that people do not read their Shadowmatch full reports, but it's quite important to read it because it's an easy read and it's a very informative document. But obviously, as I will share with our next parenting webinar, the brain doesn't like reading. So, but ask them, beg them, plead them, ask them, please read your full report. Because if they read the full report, it makes it much easier for them to understand. Here are the break-off lines, 0 to 15 points, 15 to 25, 25 to 30, 30 to 35, 50 to 60, and 60 and above. What does that mean? That's the description. So if I explain to the team, first of all, what is the description? If a team falls in the 0 to 15 bracket, if the team falls in that bracket, 15 to 25, so I can explain it to them live. So on this graph, what we have is we have a stress outline of behaviors or consolidated habits. We have on this side of this graph active exploration of the unknown. There it says, if you mouse over that, it says behavior of actively exploring the unknown, pushing the boundaries. On the opposite side, that side, we have team preference towards structure, governance, and a controlled environment. So we have here, let's stay with what we know. There, let's push the boundaries into the unknown. Being quick and efficient, the level of speed at which the team functions, pure time-driven, tendency with a team to speed up. On this side, we have the opposite, collective habit of attention to detail, being accurate and getting a problem resolved, success with detailed problems. So these are the constructs around the circle. There are some of them that I just need to show in terms of clarity, but we can see that change here, the opposite of maintaining the known. There we have task preference, in other words, working with objects. On the other side, we have people preference, working with people. On this horizontal line, we have collaborative, cohesive behavior. On the other side, we have independent and individualistic behavior. So does the team prefer to work as part of a group, or do they individually rather want to work as independent individuals? This circle here says, what is the level of similarities between the team members. You will see there, current team strength here says it's functional when necessary. This says that that line can be amber or it can be green, and it will be, it's been explained there. This says, that now says the team has diverse behaviors. So the first thing that we must say is there is reason for tension to build up in this team. Remember, I just selected them randomly. It could be a sales team, or it could be a project team, or a team of teachers, or a team of rescue divers, or whatever it might be. But this circle here, the color of it says, this team is quite diverse. So there is reason for me to think that there is a risk for the buildup of tension because their behaviors are not very similar and their cohesive energy is not high. Let's have a look at the team, quick, just an overview. There's a balance point if we work from there around the clock. There's a little bit of a balance between exploring the unknown and structure and discipline, but they lean towards structure and discipline. Can you see? This point there is very close to that cutoff point. And that cutoff point there, if we have a look at it, is, no, that's not what I want to show you. Wrong button. That's what I want to show you. That cutoff point there is on 50. This is on 50 points, 50 to 60. So that bracket is some strong behaviors amongst the team members. So let's have a look. Can you see that there's a little bit of a tendency in this team as a collective? In other words, if they act together, this gray graph shows the collective behavior of the team. And just between brackets, dear delegates, this is not built for recruitment, please. Recruitment in Shadowmatch works with a benchmark. This is not a benchmark, it's a team. It's just a random selection of people that has to work together for some reason and purpose as a team. So it's not a recruitment function in Shadowmatch. The recruitment is being done via the engine that generates a benchmark, and that's a completely different topic. So let's have a look at how this team will behave. In terms of being quick and efficient, there it's sort of in the middle of that bracket there. And on that side, also slanted a little bit more to accurate and attention to detail. So what we see is the team will be a little bit more inclined towards being active, but they will also be quick and efficient, and they will find a good balance between the two. Here we have a little bit of a slanted propensity to incline towards structure and discipline, but they also can keep things, explore the unknown. But there's a sort of a balance. They hold these two points in balance. There are positive sides on that, but there are some downsides in it. I'll show you. Then how does the team work with change? Do they prefer to change, or do they prefer to maintain the known? In other words, let's do things as we have done it before. This is a very nice indication. Here we have a strong tendency of the collective behavior in the team to rather maintain the known and not to change that actively. They will change if necessary, and if they don't have an option or an alternative, they will change. When we have to decide to work as individuals or to work as a collaborative group, in part of a group, there's a slight tendency to rather work in a collaborative group sense and environment than to work in isolation, independent and individualistic. Then on the people and task side of things, there's slightly less behavior on the task side of activities compared to the people preference of activities. Now we go into something that we can, this is a rich information set. These are the 5 softest habits amongst the collective group of the team. So individual inclination, propensity to change, self-motivation, innovation, and to simplify are the 5 habits where the team is soft. Let's say it in very practical terms. They do not have strong patterns to work as individuals amongst the collective group. Remember, not as individuals, as a collective group, the average of the collective of those people. They do not have strong patterns of behavior to change. They do not have strong patterns of behavior to motivate themselves without any external motivators. They do not have strong innovative behavior patterns, and they do not have strong patterns to simplify complicated stuff into simple points. Their strong habits, where they have bold and strong behaviors collectively as a team, is responsiveness. They tend to act quickly, so they want to be quick and immediate. Self-confidence, trust their own, they have a strong pattern of behavior where they trust their own behaviors and abilities to do something, even if they haven't done it before. And then team inclination, strong behavioral patterns amongst the group to work as a team in a collaborative group for group work. They have strong behavior patterns amongst all of them related to routine and to discipline. So this is an overview, but if you have a look at the graph and you read all the stuff and you read all these indicators, this part of the feedback to the team, just on the average of the grade, can take you about 45 minutes, because you can spend a bit of time with them. So let's have a look at, now we're going, and these colors, dear delegates and participants, means nothing other than it helps us to identify the people. I've done hundreds of team feedback sessions, and in the majority of the feedback sessions, somebody would ask, why is my name, my graph, red and Kathy is purple? Does it mean I'm bad and Kathy is good? No, that's got nothing to do with it. It just makes it easy to see who's who in the team setup graph. So I'm going to now show all the team members in one show, and then we'll do a little bit of detail work after that. Let's show them all. This is quite a nice indication of everything that we would like to teach our delegates today. What we can see is there are areas, let's call it behavioral themes of behavioral areas, where the strongest and the softest habit amongst the team members shows a very wide distribution of different intensities. That is an area where tension can develop, because their behavioral patterns are so diverse when it comes to the way in which we engage people, that it could become a trouble spot for the team. Let's have a look. Who is this? This is, that is Shannon, and that is Kathy. So if we go back and we unclick and we show Kathy, let's just use one. We use Kathy there, and we use that person. Now, can you see that in the team, and all of them, the rest are all in between. So they are all a little bit stronger and a little bit more, and they are all distributed between. But this individual, if it comes to the way in which the team has to engage people and work with the people side of a job, this person would easily say, no. I don't think we have to do all that. Walk the second mile. I don't think we have to pamper people. I don't think we need to spoon feed them. I don't think we need to explain it 3 times. I think people must be dealt with as adults. This person says, no, wait. No, we can't be that harsh. We must help them. We must engage with them in a friendly, positive, and supportive manner. It doesn't mean that this person is not friendly. It doesn't mean that. Not at all. It says that the person doesn't want to spend the energy on the people side of things to this level of intensity. So now if we go back and we have a look at the rest, they all sit in between. So this person would, those people there would rather agree with Dawn, and those people there would rather agree with Shannon. What is the end result? Tension builds up. They become uncomfortable. The distribution of behavioral intensity around the theme of people is such that they will become uncomfortable with one another. But now this is a nice one. On the cohesive side of things, we have these two individuals. They want to work together. Come sit here with me. Let's discuss this issue. Let's talk about this. Let's brainstorm this part of the thing, and let's work with it in a way that we can support one another. Those individuals there don't want that. Let's have a look at this individual there. Mary says, I'd rather work on my own. No, I don't want, count me out. I don't want to stay and discuss this. When the meeting is done, she walks, go, bye-bye. See you next time. I'm going to work on my own. So the distribution on this side, in terms of the energy and the behavior that they want to spend to work together as a group, is very widely it's a wide distribution of intensities. Here we are a bit lucky. The distribution is relatively narrow. So here we can see that the intensity with which this team rather wants to work alone is not that widely spread. So tension will not build up so much on this side, then it will build up on that side of the team behavior. And this is a critical indicator, because it says that if tension builds up around things, we can go back to this graph and say, but where does it sit? But if we look at, let's have a look at some of the other constructs. Can you see on task and material preferences? There the distribution is quite narrow. We only have these two individuals. Now that only that individual. Let me move this person out. Who is that? That is Gary. Gary sits there. Let's move Gary out. If we remove one person, can you see that this is a very narrow distribution of the intensity of their behavior to prefer working with tasks. So when we give them a task, we can actually accept that it'll be a relatively soft approach to work with tasks, but it will be similar. So this is important. The intensity of their task preference will be relatively soft within context and within the context that of necessity, but it will be similar. So that is not an area where tension could easily build up. If tension builds up, it is because probably Gary instigates the tension. But on the other side, on this side, it's a playground for stress to build up. But let's have a look at other constructs. Remember, when we do a feedback, we take it around the clock from there round to there, and we handle all the opposite, those, that, and that, and so on. But I want to show you some of the core points when we look at the team graph. When things need to change, we have this spread to there. It's quite wide. When we say, should we maintain the no, we have a very strong tendency, and there are high levels of similarity. So the thing that we can say to one another that this team would take a very strong position to rather maintain the known, and they will easily agree with one another. If we ask them, but don't you think that we should change? Some of them might say yes, these two might say, oh, well, we can have a look at the possibilities of change. These individuals here might actively resist some of the ideas we have around change. So this is the way in which the richness of the system helps us to understand the behavior of individuals within a team. I just want to unclick and then show you one thing that is that might be important. Let's select somebody that we haven't selected previously. Now that we have, let's use Jillian. But this is a great example, but not great for this. This is a nice one. What we can see here, dear delegates and Shadowmatch users, is the behavior, the collective behavior of the team shows 5 soft habits. The individual also shows 5 soft habits. Now we can compare whether the soft habits of the individual is similar to the soft habits of the team. Remember, when there is similarity, people tend to work together much easier than when there are differences. So the bold ones on this list, you will see: to simplify, individual inclination, propensity to change, and self-motivation. On 4 of these 5 habits, soft habits, Gary is soft on those habits, and the collective of the team is also soft. So this is a great indication that Gary will, when we work on the soft side of our habits, Gary will be comfortable with the approach the team takes. They will be soft on to simplify, individual inclination, propensity to change, and self-motivation, and so will Gary be. So there's an alignment. Gary also have responsiveness as a soft habit, and that is not being shared with the team. In fact, if we look at the team on this side, responsiveness is one of their strong habits. So collectively, the team has responsiveness as a strong habit, whilst Gary has responsiveness as a soft habit. This could create a little bit of stress. The team wants to do things immediately, and Gary says, well, we don't have to do it immediately. Maybe we can do it in 2 days' time. And that could become frustration for the team, a frustration for the team and for Gary. If we have a look at now, keep in mind responsiveness, self-confidence, team inclination, routine, and discipline. If we now look at Gary's strong habits, these bold habits, team inclination, routine, and discipline are in bold. Those are the ones that in bold print that Gary shares with the team as his strongest habits. He doesn't share resilience and propensity to a handoff with the team. So we can now see that we have a richness of information to help Gary to better understand his position in the team, but also to help the team understand the role that Gary can play within the team. I want to show you something else. Gary will experience the team to put him under pressure when it comes to working with high levels of accuracy and attention to detail. There's a huge difference between Gary and the team on that. You will also experience the team to put him slightly under pressure when it comes to being quick and efficient, and when they work with tasks and objects. So Gary is a bit softer. So the team as a collective on these points can put Gary a little bit under pressure. If we look at, no, that's the wrong one. Let's look at Dana. Now, this is an interesting scenario. On all these areas, Dana will put the team under pressure. So I want you to hear this very clearly. On this area there, on being quick and efficient, the team will put Gary under pressure. But on the same area, Dana will put the team under pressure. So can you see how we, and even more so, Dana will put Gary even more under pressure. So if they have to work together. So can you see how we can see how frustrations and irritations can build up in a team just by having a look at the collective behavior of the team, that gray area, the full gray area. And then when we compare the individuals in the team with one another, because this represents their behavior as part of the team based on their habits and the collective habits of the team. So this then, there's a second graph that the system shows, and it has to do with a group overview of the team. Now, this is a very interesting outline of 7 subgroups that we can predict with the shadow match data that will form inside or as part of the team. These subgroups are where the habits of the individuals are suitable for that specific task or role that they play in a team. Let's have a look at a quick outline. If there is nobody in a subgroup, it turns red. Or if the patterns of behavior of the individuals in that subgroup are very different to one another, it could be that, or different to one another, it could be that there are 4 individuals in the subgroup, but their habits are not very similar. They are similar on the theme, that theme of the people's group. On that theme, their habits are similar, but their habits are not similar on the other areas of their behavior patterns. So they have similar people habits, but their other habits are not similar. So when they work around the issue of people, they could work together and they could be cohesively in a group with strong ties to the outcome that they want. But on other areas, they might not agree. In this group, you will see in that group, we have something different. Their habits are very different. They are extremely different. If I won't show it, but I will explain. These 5 individuals on the cautious group have habits. Their habits on being cautious are similar enough to be part of this group, but their habits on other things are not similar. And if they play the role of being cautious and warning the team about things that they think the team should rather think again, they would stand together. But on other areas, there might be tension might build up amongst them in other areas. So we have 7 groups. We have the independent group. They take a critical look at the team and the working of the team from an outside. We have nobody there. There's nobody in the team that has the habits to fit the independent group. We have the people's group, 4 individuals in that. And if we click on it, it stays there. And those are the 4 individuals we have in the people's group. They must be allocated in this team the tasks that are related to working with people, engaging people, customers, bringing people together, organizing things, etc., etc. So these are the people group. And if I'm the manager of this team, I would give all the people-related tasks to this subgroup, and there we have their names. We can immediately see who they are. In terms of the action and task group, if we want a definition of what this says, we go there and we say people with a drive to take action, make things happen, and be pragmatic about the job to be done, a preference to focus on the tasks. This is a driven individual. She wants things to be done and she wants to take action so that the practical side of things are being done. We have only 1 individual there. And that's why this is a gray group. We want more than 1 so that we could see how strong the team will function if they have to collaborate. Here we have 5 individuals in the group. Their habits with regards to being cautious are the same, very much the same, but their other habits are not the same. So these are the 5 individuals. If I want to know for my team, should we do this? And I want somebody to warn me about the risk, I would ask these 5 people, what risks do you see in this new venture that we are about to take. On this level, we have the problem solvers, only one in the team. And if there are problems, operational, functional, and practical task-related problems that we need to resolve, remember the people problems, I will go there. Task-related problems to be resolved, I will give it to this individual there and ask for help to solve the problem. Adventure and change group, we don't have anybody. So in terms of driving change, pushing adventure, pushing the unknown, pushing into white space where we haven't been before, we don't have somebody to take the lead there. And if that's a need in the team, we might get stuck. And then in the middle, we have the group that could easily hold the team together. So this is the anchor group. Amanda, Gillian, and Joe. So these people can easily hold the team together because their habits are very much the same in the broad sense as the habits of the group. But amongst them, their habits are not similar enough to be green, because this could be green. Then it says it's a very strong subgroup. They stand together not only for the task that they have, the habits that they share, but in general, they also stand together as a group. Their habits are very similar. So it's Amanda, Gillian, and Joe. I just want to show you something. If we could quickly find them, we have Amanda, Gillian, and Joe. Can you see they are in the anchor group? Their habits are very much the same as the collective habits of the team. For them to be in agreement, with what the team in the broad sense wants is very easy. Why? Because their habits are in line with the habits, the collective habits of the team. So with that, dear guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, delegates, everybody else, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and my colleagues are with me in this meeting. They are extremely competent people. I just want to do a few, make a few comments. If you are in need of a highly specialized team feedback session, please contact our office. We have a vast number of highly qualified consultants that can do this for you. One of our head office specialists can do it for you. If you would like to do it yourself, obviously, and you need a bit of advice, you can contact anybody at the head office, Shadowmatch head office team, and they will be more than willing to give you a few tips and guidelines. But the system has been built for live feedback. Everything is there. You click on it, there's a paragraph, you read it, and you discuss with the team. So it's a very interactive system between the facilitator and the team. And we do these team sessions remotely via Zoom. I wouldn't say every day, because that would be a lie, I wish. But we do it quite often. We've done many of these. All our head office specialist people have done many of these team sessions, and you are more than welcome to contact us for a facilitated team analysis and team building session. But always also remember, we have a lot of other consultants that are not in the head office employment framework of the business that can do this, highly trained and specialized people with vast experience around team building, team analysis, and team sessions. With that, Lizette, back to you. I'm on time for a chat. And if there are questions, I am more than willing to deal with them. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter. That was a nice practical walk through the team application. There is a training video. It's not a long video, but there is a training video available that just takes you through all the definitions and the legend, those circles that Peter clicked on. So those that are interested can contact the office, and Charmaine can send you that training video. Please keep in mind, those of you that didn't keep an eye on the chat, you can send an email to info@shadowmatch.com or info@shadowmatch.co.za. They come to the same inbox, and we can address your need. With regards to a facilitated team session, we can then obviously discuss, look at the size of the team, and then we can do a quote to assist. We can also do it face-to-face now that COVID is no longer that much of a problem. We also do face-to-face team sessions. And there was one question that not everybody always follows the chat, so I just want to quickly highlight that question and the answer to the question. The question was about active exploration and change, and how are those two different? You would remember that active exploration sits at the top of the team graph and change at about the 2 o'clock. So active exploration is the habit of exploring the new. That's going into white space, finding new things and going where you've never been before. So that's completely new. Where change is working with your current situation or challenging the status quo. So change would be the habit of taking what you already have, a process or a product at work, and you need to challenge it to find a better solution or to better the process. And active exploration is finding something completely new. So that's the difference between the two. I hope that gives a little bit more of a clear explanation. As Peter's shown, if you go mouse over, then you find the definition of each of those habit categories. Peter, you've got yourself unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah, Lisette, I normally explain this with an example. If I have a burglary at my house and I live in the streets, and I decide that I want to change my lifestyle so that people do not break into my house again, I buy a dog, I put an alarm system on, I put a high fence and electrical fence around it, and so I change my current situation. That is change. Active exploration of the unknown is I sell my house, go live in Australia. That's something different. So that's something different. That is exploring the unknown. I move out of my situation into a space and a place where I haven't been before. Change is I take my current situation, I change it to be a better situation. And that is normally, it explains it for people who are not really into the engine of the two different types of adapting. Thanks, Lizzie.
Thanks, Peter. No other questions came in the chat just about the cost. The cost, we look at the cost per Shadow Match worksheet and then a cost per person that will be in the team session, and that will obviously differ from one country to the next. So if you're interested, you can just send us an email and we can discuss the cost offline. I'm going to allow, we have some time and we specifically wanted to finish a bit earlier so that we allow you to ask questions. I will enable the setting now for you to unmute yourself. Like always, you can just switch on your video, or if you're not comfortable, raise your hand like Sunette did now, and then you can go ahead. So Sunette, thanks for also switching on your video. I'm going to enable the setting. Go ahead, Sunette, thanks.
Thank you, Lizette. Thank you, Peter. Just a quick question on the subgroups, Peter. The colors. So if I understand it, I just want to clarify. So it's about the similarities of the team on the other behaviors for it to turn to green. And then also the representation in the group. So now, for instance, there's like 8 people in the cautious group. It will also not turn to green necessarily, or can it turn to green if they all have similar habits on the rest of their habits?
Yeah, Sunette, this is a great question. I will explain it again with an example. We work as part of a team, and you and I and Lizette are in the subgroup of action of active. Well, let's use cautious group. We are in that subgroup. So our habits with regards to being cautious are similar enough, and we qualify the criteria to be in that group. Remember, the group has a qualifying criteria for you to be in that group. So it looks at certain combination of habits, certain combination of passive and active behaviors, and it says Sunette qualifies for the cautious group, Lizette qualifies for the cautious group, and Peter qualifies for the cautious group. So we are there. But on our people habits, we are completely different. Completely. On Lizette wants to work with tasks, I want to work with tasks and objects, and you want to work with people. on our maintaining the known, we are completely different. So it says, if it's gray, it says they qualify. Their habits qualify them to be in this subgroup, so they can play this role of being cautious in this, under this conditions in this team. But on other things, they might not be in agreement with one another. If the color is amber, orange, then it says their habits are sort of more or less in line with one another, and there's not reason for them there's not reason in their habits to be in conflict around the other areas of their behavior. So the other behavior patterns are more or less similar, so that they could work easily together, even outside of the cautious actions that they need to focus on. If the subgroup is green, Sunette, it says that their habits to be cautious qualify them to be in that group, but they are very comfortable with one another, even on the broad spectrum of their other habits, which are also very similar. So then, Sunette, there's also a warning in that this subgroup can become so strong that they could hijack the team. If a subgroup has more than 3 people, or about 30% of the group in that subgroup, and that group is green, they can hijack the team with a topic of their similarities. So they can cautious the team about everything, because they stand together very well based on their other habits. I hope that explains.
Thank you, Peter. Very good explanation. Tapiwa, you're welcome to go ahead.
Thank you so much. We've been using, I think we are one of your recent clients that we've been working with you, and we have found that Shadowmatch has been really helpful in terms of introspection, in terms of the group evaluating what we've been able to see. But there seems to be a problem that we've been able to identify, that assertive characters and other assertive characters tend to lead into a sort of like a conflict, or a sort of like a clash, in terms of having those strong personalities within that department. Maybe some might feel that maybe someone is coming to take their position, or, you know, they might be outmaneuvering them in order to take the promotion. So how best can we be able to deal with similar qualities in order to build a team which works effectively?
Can I go for it, Lisette?
Yes, go ahead.
This is a very tough question. The first thing that you can do is obviously put them in the team where they work together, and show the differences. Show that, you know, they have to accommodate one another for the bigger purpose of the business and the bigger success of the team. So there's a bit of an understanding of how they could accommodate, but also use one another. The strengths, I can use your strengths in one area. Maybe you're a people person and I'm a task people, so you help me with the people issues and I help you with the task issues, so that they can learn from one another, and in doing so bring them a bit more together towards working in a collaborative way in the interest of the team. But you've used a very powerful word, and that is that they have strong personalities that might clash, and that they feel that one person is a threat to the other. That's a different challenge. Obviously, the team can help, the team analysis can help with that, but there's a work relationship report on the system. And if they request the work relationship report, it compares the habits of person A to the habits of person B, and it gives them a full outline of where these habits could create tension and where these habits could create friction and discomfort, but also where the differences in their habits can bring them closer together. So it's a very comprehensive report for them to understand how their relationship on a one-on-one level could be best optimized. It's the work relationship report. If you struggle to find it on the system, just send an email to info@Shadowmatch, or make contact with Shamaine. Shamaine will be very willing to help you with that. But there's a third option, and that is that if the 2 individuals or 3 individuals, or how many ever they might be, do not really get this thing solved, assign them to a shadow match coach for career coaching. Because in the career coaching program, the coach will take them through the process to optimize the success of the career, despite the threats and the fears and the opportunities that they might miss, but the threats that they might experience and the fears that they might experience. So by assigning them to a professional shadow match coach, it helps them to optimize the opportunities in the workplace without the negative fallouts of maybe going into an arm wrestle or more of a sort of a negative behavior patterns towards each other. So shadow match can help you with a team analysis. It can help with a work relationship report, and it can also help you. And obviously, if you would like to assign them to a coach, we have more than 100 qualified coaches on the system, using the system as a coaching platform. And you can go to shadowmatchcoaching.com to find the coach of your choice. And that would be my approach. But it's a good question. Well done for that. And all the best. I'll be thinking of you.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Tapiwa, all the way from one of our neighboring countries. Great to see that you guys are also joining. I know you're one of our newer clients. And thanks for the work relationship reports. That was something I was going to mention. So if we see in a team that there are diverse individuals, it's always a good idea to request a work relationship report between those two individuals if they have to work together, because that helps to put some action plans in place. There was a question from Marilda. Should there be people in all the subgroups? What is the recommendation if there aren't enough people in a subgroup or no people? Marilda, that's a very good question. Preferably, you would like to have people in all the subgroups. What we normally do is if we see that there's a subgroup that is absent, in other words, there are no people in that subgroup, and I'll use an example to explain. I've done team sessions where there was nobody in the cautious group. What I then normally recommend is that as an agenda item for every meeting that the team has, they need to put risk as an agenda item. Because if there's no people in the cautious group in the team, it means that there's nobody that can raise the red flag or be the handbrake in the team. And then the team needs to actively think about the possible risks when they venture down a new avenue or when they have their team meetings and they strategize. We worked with a company, and I obviously won't name the name, where the company was busy with a project for, I think it was 28 months, millions of rands later, the project went nowhere. They had project meetings, discussed, went away, came back. 28 months later, they didn't deliver the project. So we were then called in to do a team session like Peter showed today. And in that team, when we plotted them on Shadow Match, they had no individuals in the action and task group. And when they saw that visually on the system, they said, but that's our problem. Nobody in the team has the natural behavior pattern of taking action. So they had to bring somebody in or take the person with the strongest habit of responsiveness and propensity to own, to take the role of the person that will call everybody to task. So there are ways, but yes, definitely if there's nobody in a subgroup, it can be a risk. And then normally it's a good idea to make the team aware of it and to make that an active agenda item when they meet, to say, guys, we've got no adventure and change people. How can we do this differently? I don't know if you want to just add to that, Peter, or are you comfortable with the answer?
No, it's the full story.
Great. Let's see if there are any other. I see there's something in the chat. Nothing else. Any other questions? We've got about a minute to go, so I'll just keep quiet for a moment. You're welcome to raise your hand, switch on your video or just your microphone and ask your question. Let's give it a moment. David Brown, you're welcome to go ahead. You must just unmute. We can't hear you as yet, so just check your microphone. There, you can go.
There you go. First, I cut my head off, and then I double-clicked and muted myself after unmuting myself. Guys, thank you. This is absolutely brilliant, and the timing of this is amazing. Peter, I actually sent you a message. I don't want to put you on the spot, but as the meeting's ending, I wanted to check something. Is it possible to put up that that mapping, that graph of the whole team? There's just something I want to think. Maybe let me draw the picture first verbally, and then let's see if we need the picture or not. when we looked at the graph, there was, yeah, there we go. If you could maybe just put everybody back in there. We had everybody mapped at one stage. Beautiful, thank you. When we look at this graph, I just want to check my thinking over here. On people preference, we've got somebody who sticks out right out at the top, correct? Am I correct in saying that there's probably 3, maybe even 4 groups here? You've got your individual who sticks out right at the top. You've got 2 people, maybe 3 who kind of similar, and then you've got a smaller grouping even lower down. Is it wise and is it accepted practice to be saying we've actually got 3, maybe even 4 groups that we're dealing with over here, and then to work with those kind of as groups to sort out those particular issues?
David, I like these questions. And actually, David, I like to be put on the spot. This is a great question. This is exactly what, if you take a very informed and a thoughtful approach to that graph, what you can do with it. You can say that in the people section, we have a subgroup that is very low in intensity. We have a group very narrowly distributed with a relative low intensity preference, and we have high intense people in that subgroup. So you can obviously do it and then discuss it with the individuals around those preferences and the habits that they have. So if there's a wide distribution and the team is relatively big, let's say the team is 15 people, I've done a team of 40 people, and you could immediately see in that specific team, it was with a consulting company, you could immediately see how the team is being split between low people and high people intensities with nobody in between. So the middle of the road approach is absent, and you have people in the high end of team intensity and people on the low end side. So people would either shy away from it or become over involved in it. So it's a very intelligent way that you've been looking at this. And that is actually, if you start thinking and you work with the graph and you allow the picture of the graph to inform you and you reflect on that, it gives you a huge amount of information to do exactly what you have done. Well done. It's a great insight that you have shown. You can use it in that way very well.
Thank you, Peter, and thanks for a very good question, David. I think it was informative for everyone. I see that we've reached our time limit. Allow me to stop the recording. We will stay for a few more minutes should there be any more questions, but let me thank you for attending. It was great seeing you, and we look forward to hosting you again at the next webinar. Have a great day.
Yeah, Lizette, thank you to you.